Shout out to each and every one of you out there, brothers and sisters, and people who just come to my channel, share the material. I'm going to read Psalm 6 for you guys. And as I read this psalm, I pray also that it goes not just beyond the airwaves, but to the people who it's meant for. O Lord, rebuke me not in your anger, neither chasten me in your hot displeasure. Have mercy upon me, O Lord, for I am weak. O Lord, heal me, for my bones are vexed. My soul is also vexed. But thou, O Lord, how long? Return, O Lord, deliver my soul. O save me for your mercy's sake. For in death there is no remembrance of you. In the grave who shall give you thanks? I'm weary with my groaning. All the night make I my bed to swim. I water my couch with my tears. My eye is consumed because of grief. They wax old because of my enemies. Depart from me, all you workers of iniquity, for the Lord has heard the voice of my weeping. The Lord has heard my supplication. The Lord will receive my prayer. Let all my enemies be ashamed and sore vexed, and let them return and be ashamed suddenly. Bless the Lord. I'm not going to say much more about that prayer. I'm just going to say that that's my prayer unto the Lord. Make of it as you will, but always remember Jesus, man. He's the center focus. Keep him at your core, people. You may slip and fall, but he will pick you up. So I'm going to talk about the Snyder Cut, obviously, so let's get into it. HBO Asia did this meme here. All fanboys be like Justice League Snyder Cut fanboys. And obviously Jason Momoa is a fan. And Jason definitely loves the Snyder Cut, wants to see the Snyder Cut of Justice League. And rightfully so. Because he actually spoke on how Aquaman was different in the Snyder Cut of Justice League. And it's pretty interesting what he had to say. So we'll read the Screen Rant article. The Snyder Cut of Justice League had Aquaman play a very different role to the theatrical release. When the original director left the film due to personal tragedy, Warner Brothers publicly claimed that Joss Whedon was just finishing what Zack had started. The truth, of course, was very different. Whedon conducted extensive reshoots that totally altered the vision of the DC team-up. The final version of Justice League was a mishmash of different tones and styles. So, Aquaman star Jason Momoa has been one of several DC film actors to vocally express his support for the campaign that's to release the Snyder Cut, with good reason. He credits Snyder as the man who got him the job, considers the director to be a dear friend, and had a lot of his scenes cut from Justice League. When Aquaman heading into the cinema, or with Aquaman heading into the cinemas, and Momoa teasing his connection to the Snyder Cut, the question of what exactly Warner Bros. Change of Arthur Curry's story in Justice League looms large. What elements were cut from the final theatrical release and what was actually reshoots? Here we examine everything that's currently known. So they'll talk about how Aquaman and Atlantis were different from Snyder's cut. Although footage of Aquaman was shown in Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, his proper introduction was saved for Justice League. Unfortunately, this is one of the scenes where Whedon's reshoots are particularly visible. I'm going to skip all of that. I'll just go to what Jason Momoa actually said. Well, first of all, the interaction between Batman and Aquaman went very differently in Snyder Cut of Justice League. Sorry about the yawning. Mira had a bigger role in Snyder's Justice League, and this is true. And a number of evidences for this. One of them, I don't know if you guys have seen it, is the pre-visualization of the fight scene between Steppenwolf and Mira, where Mira tries to dehydrate Steppenwolf, and there's some added scenes where she manipulates water and actually knocks him down twice. Okay, but here she's dehydrating him, and he's able to punch her away. So, there's all that going on. So Mira uses her hydrokinetic powers in some pretty creative ways. While this removal segment of the fight wouldn't have made any difference to Justice League's overall narrative, it was substantially altered how audiences reacted to Mira during her first big screen appearance. In one particularly interesting moment, Mira attempts to use her powers to draw moisture out of Steppenwolf's body, essentially dehydrating him. It's the same tactic she used on Aquaman when she drew moisture out of Arthur's body in order to activate the ancient Atlantean technology. Additionally, Heard was on set when Justice League filmed in Iceland, with set photos showing she was in costume that clearly suggests she filmed at least one additional scene, and this may be the scene at the end of the film, which we will get to. Also, Arthur Curry in the underwater scenes, which was filmed by Zack Snyder, as you can see here, he's going to King Atlantis, get the trident from King Atlantis, it looks like there. It seems as though that scene was shot in Justice League and then Joss Whedon altered it. So, that VFX footage which you just saw, Arthur's seen approaching a stone statue seemingly dressed in armor he would later wear when fighting alongside the Justice League. It was a clear nod to the dead king, the entombed body of King Atlan, the first great ruler of Atlantis. No doubt this would have been a powerful scene, with Aquaman claiming his birthright when he donned his ancestors' armor. Jason Momoa has suggested that this is one scene that featured Willem Dafoe as Vulko, the Atlantean nobleman who trained Aquaman as a warrior. And this is Jason Momoa speaking here. There's a place where Aquaman goes down to, and it's got cut out of the movie, he explained. Arthur knows spots where he can go, and he can see these statues, the remnants of Atlantis. There's Vulko. Obviously, we have way more scenes with Vulko in Aquaman. There just wasn't enough time in this movie. The implication is that Vulko has been teaching Aquaman all about his royal ancestry, even showed him the statues at some time. It even sounds as though Arthur and Vulko meet at the statue of the dead king. That said, it's probably a good thing this particular sequence was cut. It would have contradicted James Wan's portrayal of Arthur Curry in Aquaman, where he was yet to accept that he should be monarch of Atlantis. Which is interesting. Also changed, the Justice League reshoots in this sequence is the aforementioned fight between Mira and Steppenwolf, as well as the addition of the air bubble conversation. James Wan suggested at the time of the film's release that this was part of Warner Brothers' changes to the film. So James Wan actually said Warner Brothers put that air bubble in there. That's actually not something that Zack Snyder did at all. So that's interesting. And we got a couple more here. So given the sheer scale of Whedon's reshoots, the truth is that so many of Zack Snyder's Aquaman scenes would have wound up on the editing floor, while plenty of additional photography featuring Momoa would have been shot in its place. In the Snyder version, for example, it was known that all the members of the Justice League were to retrieve Superman's body, presumably meaning it was the act of deep significance to the entire team, including Aquaman. Meanwhile, a number of deleted scenes have teased that the League was supposed to spend some time in Star Labs, which we all know, with some images showing evidence of battle damage due to some sort of action sequence. All of these would have affected Aquaman's role and perhaps the arc in the film, and also don't forget the final moments when he was fighting along Cyborg against Steppenwolf. All of that we also got cut out of the movie. Alright, anyway, the most prominent example is Whedon's scene where Aquaman unwittingly sat on Wonder Woman's lasso of truth, which followed about a verbal diarrhea that unfortunately became Aquaman's most memorable moment in Justice League. Then there's another moment where Aquaman is a spectator in a confrontation between Bruce Wayne and Wonder Woman. Batman goaded Diana by bringing up Steve Trevor, and for a moment it looked as though the two superiors would come to blows. Aquaman is present, and he's shown reacting and getting ready to join in. The second example may be a subtle one, but it points to an important fact. Aquaman's role, his dialogue, even his body language would potentially have changed in any single scene that was reshot or added into the film. The third act was also reshot quite significantly, so that all of Aquaman's scenes that were probably adjusted in some way. Yeah, he was supposed to kill parademons that was cut out and all that stuff. Curiously, some of Snyder's footage is actually being reused by Warner Brothers, with YouTube end cards to Aquaman trailer focusing on scenes not from the theatrical cut of Justice League. It seems Warner Brothers do believe Snyder's footage is good enough to be used in a little marketing, although it's difficult to place random shots in a given context. And that was for the UK trailer. They actually had some of that stuff in there. And then, of course, the ending of Snyder's Justice League set up Aquaman. So Zack Snyder recently took to social media to reveal a still, which would have been Aquaman's final moments in Justice League. This showed Aquaman striding away from Mira and another figure, likely Vulko. Jason Momoa has explained the scene, revealing that this was intended to be the setup for Aquaman. Remember, Jason Momoa said that. Mirabuka had to come to Arthur for help and warned that a force was coming that he alone could oppose, clear foreshadowing Orm's attack on the surface world. To say Aquaman was disinterested is an understatement. He simply responded by telling him, "I'm going home to see my dad." According to Momoa, this was intended to signify that it had been quite some time since Arthur had visited his father, but he felt he needed to ground himself once again in the battle after the battle with Steppenwolf and Parademons. Ironically, of course, the decision to go to his childhood home of Amnesty Bay took Aquaman straight into his half-brother's firing line. Right? So I thought that was really interesting because, again, a lot of stuff was left out of Justice League. And this sort of de-riched the movie. And this is what it is. But again, I love that Jason Momoa is highlighting the truth about Aquaman. He's talking about it, but he's also highlighting the truth about Justice League and how it was actually linked to Aquaman in the Snyder Cut. And that's very important. Now, some people were debating with me, is the Snyder Cut canon? Yes, of course it's canon. It's canon because, how do we know this? Because it links to Aquaman directly. Canon means that there's continuity between one film and another. And clearly there's continuity between Aquaman and the Snyder Cut. Much more continuity, at least to the end of the story, than what Joss Whedon did with Justice League. So it is what it is. 5 ways Warner Bros. Can try to appease Snyder Cut fans. I don't think they can, unless they hit us with the Snyder Cut, but we'll just go through them. Stephen M. Colbert is the guy that covered this. So the first one is release Chris Terrio's original Justice League screenplay. Releasing a screenplay is not going to help me. It's cool that you release the screenplay, but it's not going to help me. I need to see the visuals. So that would fall flat. Create a graphic novel with Snyder's original Justice League story. No. Zack Snyder is not a graphic novelist, so why would I want to see that? I want to see the actual movie. And then we have here number 3, release the Snyder Cut as an animated adaptation. Hell no. Release the Snyder Cut light, which would be number 4. No, we don't want that because we don't want the same runtime with more Snyder stuff. We want the full haul. So release the actual Snyder Cut, which I think all fans, that's what we're pushing for, and that's why I'm not watching another DC film until Warner Bros. Releases the Snyder Cut. And since Aquaman is doing successfully, and maybe DC's getting what they want, I'm hoping that they get the memo and they make a statement, because I'm not going to go watch Aquaman until they do it. I don't care what. I've been following Aquaman pretty closely. I'm not going to go see that movie. No, not going to go see it until they make a statement, a definitive statement on the Snyder Cut that says they're interested in pursuing it. They say that, day one, I'm going to go see Aquaman. And they still got time. They just have to do it. And I don't want to hear from Jason Momoa. I want to hear from Warner Bros. So those 5 ways Warner Bros. Can try to appease Snyder Cut fans. I have the 5th way. That's the only way they're going to appease me. And I want to add 2 things. They also have to release the Ayer cut of Suicide Squad. And on top of that, I got an extra twist for them. You guys got to make your deadline now. You got to make the deadline of that Snyder Cut's got to come out next year, 2019, which is a couple days away from now. So there's that added pressure on them now, because the longer they take is the more we're going to just clamp down and put more pressure on them. It's just what it is. You don't have to do what I'm doing, but I'm doing it. Okay? I'm not backing down. So that's all I got to say for now, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. You guys have a great one.